Good evening, everybody. This is Copycat Trader Brian, and I'm going to show you a trade that I did today, a day trade that I did today on Tuesday, January the 9th, 2024. And my voice is a little bit hoarse and raspy today, so please have to forgive me for that. But what I was doing is I was playing Chevron, ticker symbol CVX, and I was playing off this tail that occurred yesterday, and it was bought up with pretty good volume. And so I did a set of order right here at the bottom of this and played off of this. So I'll show you the intraday chart and show you what happened. This is yesterday, and it, as you can see, it opened up yesterday afternoon, came on down here, and with a pretty good heavy volume, it turned back around and went back up. But when it opened this morning, right here at 8:30, it had a straight down candle, and you can see the pretty good volume there, and it came straight down without hardly even stopping, without even pausing, and came right down to that double bottom, this double bottom right here. And as soon as it got to that double bottom, I bought it pretty much right at the double bottom. And then it came down, plunged a little bit, got bought up, as you can see, with almost a bottoming tail, pseudo bottoming tail. You can see the volume in this candle. And then it came up and got me out for this 50 cents right here. So overall, I was in this trade for over an hour. I hate the ones that take forever to trade. And I got in out of this for a 50-cent gain on about half my shares, a little over half my shares. And then I let it come down, and whenever it got below this level right here, I just stopped out. And so I actually lost just a few pennies on about 400 shares. So without further delay, let's get into the actual trade. And I actually have it on recording here, but you'll see me. I'm going to start it off with a buy order, and I execute almost all of my orders in Interactive Brokers. TradingView is fantastic for evaluating charts, but they are terrible for actually execution. Interactive Brokers is one of the best platforms that I have found for execution. I'm sure there's others out there that are just as fast, but TradingView is what I like. So I'm putting Chevron there in this particular panel, and as you can see, it already began to bounce, and I was thinking, all right, this is great. I'm going to go ahead and load up my sell order, and then I also will load up a purchase order down below just in case the price goes down even further. But I loaded up the sell order, and then you'll see here in a minute, I'm going to speed up the video for you in this thing in just a minute. But I'm actually going to add an additional 400 shares. But before I do that, I'm going to go over to TradingView, and I'm going to evaluate where things are at. And so what I'm looking for on this TradingView chart is I'm going to look for what, I'm trying something new, something that somebody taught me. Again, this is copycat, so I try to copy what others do, and I try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I went over to the 1 minute chart on the Chevron, and I put a a wedge that's kind of descending here. And what we've seen when these wedges are descending, that if the RSI begins to diverge away from the direction of the direction of the pattern of the price action, that you're going to get a move in one way or the other. So I'll go back to the screen here in just a minute and I'll show you. So you see down here at the bottom of the chart, I've got this wedge going here, and you see at the bottom of the chart how that you've got lower lows here and here. But on the RSI, your lows are higher, which this is the relative strength indicator, the RSI indicator. And since you have a divergence between the price action going down and the RSI going up, that's called a bullish divergence. And so this descending wedge, we found that this descending wedge with the RSI going up is most of the time is yielding a bounce, as long as you don't have another pattern that kind of overcomes it. So let's keep on watching the video here. So I make this descending, we just keep on getting a divergence on the RSI. So you notice that high there, or that low, is here. This low is even lower, and look at the descent here of the price. But notice these are almost, this one's actually just a hair higher than what that one is. So that's a bullish divergence, even with this descending wedge. And we still have a little bit of problems with the price action, but it's still showing us that the relative strength is actually diverging away from, or is getting more bullish, and whereas the price action looks more bearish. So it kind of lends itself to kind of telling you what's going to happen in the future. And as you can see, look at these candles here, and look at the volume on this particular one. It's way bigger than what the volume is around it. This volume here to this candle and this volume is a significant difference, maybe 25% more volume, and bringing that candle up. And that's pretty significant price action. So whenever you see that, you know that you're either going to have a pop or you're going to have a drop. And for the most part, whenever it comes down from the bottom and goes up, you know that there's buyers stepping up to bring the price action up. So the price action does go up, and of course with Chevron moving so slow, and Chevron does move slow, and that's one thing I forgot about whenever I got into this trade, is how much patience it takes with Chevron. Chevron moving so slow, it has to creep up and down. It doesn't. The candles are never that big unless you really are having some major issues. But it has to come down a little bit and has to back and fill and do a little bit of consolidation here before it is willing to go up and get me out of my pricing action. So that's the reason why I sped this thing up by 20 times. Now you can see the volume is coming in pretty good on this next candle as well. And this is either sellers or this is buyers, and you can't really tell except for the price action is going up. So if the price action is going up, you can pretty well tell that it is not sellers. So this is a buyers that are trying to take it up, but it still has not got its consolidation down good enough. Look at that candle. Look at that volume come in down there at the bottom. And as it comes in down at the bottom, the price action going up, that's encouraging to me, but it still backs off just a little bit. It's still doing some bullish consolidation before it finally will pop and take me up there. Now, this looks really fast from your perspective, but it is painfully slow if you're day trading and watching it. So at this point in time, I left the computer alone and just let it go. And I just came back every once in a while and checked it. And I set an alarm at my sell price and an alarm at my bottom buy price down here. And one or the other was going to trigger me for me to come back into the room and watch it. And then probably 20 minutes of not watching it, I finally come back in here and start piddling around with some things. And one of the things that I piddle around with is I decide not to sell all of my shares. I decide to take, instead of selling 900 shares, which you can see right up here in the upper right hand corner, that's how much I have, I decide to come down here and change this, and I'm going to change it to 500 shares. And I should have changed it and just left it to 900 shares, but I was getting a little bit too greedy, and what I decided to do was change it to 500 shares instead of selling it all, and try to get a little bit more. I was hoping that Chevron would turn and run, but again, like I said, Chevron is a slow as molasses runner. And I'll let you watch the sale price in real time, because that's always exhilarating to see the trade happen whenever you finally get to the sale. But right here, I made, after the 50 cents, I made about $250 in about an hour, and then I actually lose out on the second 400 shares, and I'm gonna speed the video up. There it is. There's the sale. And I actually have an alarm that sits there. I had to trigger the alarm or set the alarm off. So I cancel everything else out, and what I did is I moved a stop price right below the pivot of Chevron, and I said, okay, which one of these triggers first? That's great. And I set a sale price up there about $1, but it winds up coming back down. You can see right here's where I sold. Right there's where I sold a minute ago, and it just backed off from there. It was a perfect sale. It was a perfect sell, and it backed off basically 30 minutes later, almost 40 minutes later. The stock stops me out, and that's essentially the end of the trade. So I made about $250 when I should have made double that if I would have sold out the other 400 shares whenever I was supposed to. But I was a little bit too greedy, and as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, at that same time, the stock market had put in a topping tail. There was no hope for Chevron to catch a bid whenever the S&P 500 is doing this right here. So anyway, that is the trade on January the 9th, 2024, and that is Chevron, about $250 in about an hour and 20 minutes. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you later. This is Copycat Trader signing off.